The Magical PPC Funnel. I have driven hundreds of thousands of dollars of sales using this very funnel that I'm going to show you. And if you do it right, this could be your main source of income, but there are some advantages and disadvantages to this. So let's go through them. First of all, what is PPC? Well, it stands for pay-per-click ads. Here's an example of a Google pay-per-click ad. And I mean, it's right in the name, PPC, pay per click. So every time someone clicks on your ad, you're paying, whether it be a penny or a few dollars, depending on the keyword that you're going after. So the ad costs change daily, if not hourly, depending on how a number of factors, but basically how popular the keyword is, how many other people are trying to bid on that keyword. So here's an example. If you were to go to Google and type in content marketing services, you'll see your organic results here in the bottom. Those are people who are doing great with search engine optimization. But then you've got your paid ads on the top and your paid ads on the side. These are everybody who is bidding on these words, on this particular keyword, content marketing services. Here's an example of a pay-per-click funnel. So let's talk about what makes a great ad, because the very foundation for the funnel is the ad. Okay, and I'll show you the full funnel here in a second, but you have to understand what makes for a great ad. If you haven't already guessed, this right here is a Facebook ad. Okay, and if you look at what captures the attention, if you log into Facebook, you've probably seen these ads before, right? So you have a captivating picture, and this is where most people go wrong. Is they'll put in a nice video, but the thumbnail is crazy. It's silly. It doesn't make any sense. It's maybe just automatically generated by Facebook. It might capture somebody mid-face or mid-sentence doing something blurry with their hands, but this is a thought-through thumbnail right here. The video is engaging rather than a picture. Videos show to be more engaging. And it's interesting because sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes if they're at work, people won't click a video. So think about the time of the day you want to serve a video ad, and that's part of the testing you can do with various ads. But you see that this top paragraph here includes the CTA. We've talked about CTAs before, call to action. So it gives them something to do. Okay. This is great copy that poses an intriguing question. Okay. So that's good there. It kind of gets them interested in what they're talking or what they're going to talk about. There's a strong headline here. How-tos are strong headlines. Special gifts. Even if you don't think you have one, like all this is like, maybe I do have a special gift and I don't think I have one. You know, it's all intriguing. And then there's another question here asked in the link description. There's a clear place for them to go right here. There's their website. So this is just an example of a really effective ad. This person did a good job with the ad. You can see the social proof. 904 people gave it a thumbs up. 248 shared it, which is excellent. Okay, so that's some of the components of a great ad. You can see a very clear, definable picture here for a profile picture. Okay, very good, all good stuff. So where can you do pay-per-click ads? Well, we just showed you Facebook and Google. This comprises 90% of what you need. If you're really looking to get that last 10%, you can check out Bing. YouTube is great, one of my favorites. Twitter also has pay-per-click ad, which is not really good for driving revenue, but it's good for driving newsletter subscribers, which I found. I've built a newsletter subscriber for a company once, 40,000 strong, through Twitter ads. It was a financial company. So if you have some kind of quick, easy freebie giveaway to drive newsletter signups, Twitter would be a great one for you. Reddit, Quora, which is a popular question and answer site, and Pinterest. And there are more. But again, 90% of what you need are Facebook and Google, and that'll get you 90% there. So what are the advantages of a pay-per-click ad? First of all, it brings in very targeted traffic that are likely to convert if you do a landing page correctly, and we'll go through a correct landing page in a second. It gets immediate results. It's measurable, which is my favorite as kind of a statistician in practice. I'm not nearly as good as some of these people who do stats full time, but I certainly am a stats junkie. And I love the fact that if I put in $2,000 in Facebook ads and I can measure $3,000 in return, then that would be a $1,000 profit. So there's some measurable assumptions, unlike with organic traffic, which is much harder to measure. You don't know where they came from or how they reached you. And Well, sometimes you can and sometimes you don't because Google hides a lot of their data. So anyway, with Facebook, all the data is there for you. You can measure the heck out of it any way you want. A great thing for pay-per-click ads is it helps you compete with larger businesses. You know, if you have this 800-pound gorilla that you're competing with, this large company with unlimited staff and unlimited resources, you put up an ad for a few dollars and boom, you're up and running. You don't have to buy large you don't have to have a TV, a radio budget where you have to commit six figures to an ad campaign. You can get started with as little as a few dollars, and your ads can literally be higher placed than multi-million-dollar competitors. It's just that easy. And it's real time. You can see traffic coming in real time. And it's controllable. You can turn it on or off anytime you like. If you wake up one morning and say, you know what, I want to take Sunday off from pay-per-click ads. I don't want to spend any money today. You just go in, you click a couple buttons, and you're done. It's off for the day, and you can turn it on whenever you want. The disadvantages to pay-per-click ads is it costs money. Unlike with organic traffic, you have to pay for each and every piece of traffic you bring in. And then you need to watch it. This is the big problem. A lot of clients come to me and say, Mike, I spent $10,000 last month on pay-per-click ads, and I didn't get any return out of it. Okay, well, when did you log in and realize that this wasn't, I logged in after the 30 days. And well, you just let it run for the 30 days without watching it? Yeah, well, you know what? You have to watch it. I log in at least once, twice a day sometimes to see if something is or is not working. I'll change budgets around. I'll turn on and off ads. I'll change ad copy, all sorts of stuff. You need to keep your eye on it. And that's where you really need a trained professional to come in and do that kind of stuff, unless you want to learn it yourself. And I'll give you some resources on how to learn it yourself later on in this class. Another disadvantage is it does take some time. You really, even if you want to just pay somebody to do it, it takes some time to teach somebody what you want done, who your ideal client is. You got to give them all that good stuff. And if you're going to learn it yourself, it certainly takes time. And it does require skill. I mean, there are people who do this full time, especially Google ads, which could be quite confusing. I can't tell you how many millions of dollars I've seen wasted on improperly set up Google ads. Facebook ads are a lot easier to run, way, way easier than Google ads. But just so many people run ads on Google because it's just the big search engine in the world. And they make it seem easy, but there are a lot of things that you can do incorrectly that will waste you a lot of money. And clicks don't always lead to sales. It's very frustrating sometimes to see 100 clicks and one sale. So you got to factor that into your math. Like you have to say, okay, if I have, let's say 100 clicks and it costs me $1 each, that means I'm spending $100. But if I get 2 sales out of that, and a sale is $1,000 each, that's $2,000 in revenue for a $100 ad spend. So you have to work the math and say, okay, is it worth it given my cost per click? So here it is. Here's the magical funnel that I used and developed over time. It looks pretty complicated here, but it's kind of not. So we're going to break this out chunk by chunk, and we're going to go through each step. So the first thing we're going to do in this funnel is we're going to identify exactly who we're going to go after. Who's our ideal client? Who do we want to bring in? And then we're going to talk about how we're going to bring them in. And in this case, it's going to be Facebook and Google. And then we're going to create a landing page. And a landing page is basically a standalone website that is not visible on your main website. Okay, it's targeted specifically for a reason. This is a big problem that a lot of people have who run ads. Like, oh, I'm just driving the traffic to my homepage. That's not that good. It can work, but it's not nearly as effective as if you created your own landing page, because I'll tell you why in a minute, but you're going to be targeting a very specific client with a very specific problem. And then on that landing page is going to be what's called a lead magnet. Those are people who are not ready to buy your services yet, but want some kind of intermediary information from you, whether it's an ebook or some kind of content download that you can give them, kind of a leave behind that says, hey, I know you don't want to spend $3,000 yet on my services, but here's a free ebook that kind of validates my experience and gives you the answers to what you need right now. And then the qualification form, basically, if they want that lead magnet, if they want that ebook, they're going to have to leave their information. So you have to think about what information you want from them. And then once they submit their information, here's where you go into a retargeting campaign, and we'll go through that in a second. And then the client gets the information. You get the client's information. And then there's what's called a drip email campaign that continues to drip value to them. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the ideal client and pain points. So here's the picture of the funnel up on top. I'll leave this in the top of the slide so you see where we're at. And then here's where we're at right now, step one, okay? To identify the client's pain points and your ideal client, what I want you to do is pause this video and think about what kind of client you want to bring in. And these are the questions I want you to answer. First of all, define your service from the customer's point of view. What problems can you solve for them? And then I want you, from the ideal client's perspective, I want you to define if it's a male or female. I want you to define their age, their likely education, their occupation, their title, their financial situation and income, all that good stuff. I want you to literally put a name and a face around. That's called creating a client persona. And then determine what specific benefits your client is seeking in buying your service. So what particular pain points are they experiencing right now where they say, okay, it's time to look for me, type of thing. And then determine the location you want to serve the customers. That one should be the easiest one to answer out of this whole list. And then determine when your ideal client buys your service. And then determining buying strategies. How does your client go about making a buying decision for your service? So what is it that at that point that triggers that? So now we talked about the trigger in the last bullet point, but how do they go about doing it? Do they search online? If so, what is their motivation for buying online? Do they need content? What exactly do they need to make that decision? That is how you identify your ideal client, and that is the foundation for your entire funnel. Let's talk about Facebook ads and Google ads. Now, I'm not going to describe how to make a great Facebook ads in depth. We went through just a very beginning of it in a few slides ago, and same with Google ads. I mean, I could be here for weeks talking about what makes great Facebook and Google ads, literally. But I want to show you, well, first of all, hire an expert to get you up and running, to get the 95% of it going, right? That's what I would recommend. But if you want to do it yourself, you want to learn how to run Google ads and Facebook ads, here's some great resources. Go ahead and pause this video and copy these down, okay? This is straight, the Google ads is straight from the Google Academy. It's literally Google employees teaching you about Google ads, and they chunk it out into little courses. Same with Facebook ads. This is directly from Facebook. Now, if you take Google ads and Facebook ad courses from another agency or another company, just remember they're trying to sell you something. Now, Google and Facebook are obviously trying to sell you something, but it's directly from the horse's mouth. So it's a little bit better in that regard, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about landing page with lead magnet form. Here's an example of a pretty decent landing page. There's some changes I would recommend, but let's go through some of the things they did good. First of all, there's a clear title up at top. It says exactly what you're getting in the shortest amount of time possible. There is a value proposition just under here that shows a little bit more context into what they're getting. Shows you exactly, listen, K-12 through college, like don't fill this out if you're in elementary school, for example. Okay, it shows that they have professional instructors that speak English. Got it. This is one of the things I would change, but there's a nice image here. I would make this a little, I don't like stock photos, so I would make this a little more original, maybe even a video about yourself or your services. That looks good and professionally done. But here's what you want on a landing page, and this is a qualification form. Here's your here's the qualification form right here. So they want to know the first name and the email and the phone number. This is another thing I would change about this landing page, is that every single field that you add reduces your conversion rate. Meaning some people are online and on mobile and they don't want to fill in their first name for whatever reason. So just make it as easy as possible for, especially their phone number, make it as easy as possible for them to get that information. Okay, so this particular person is asking for first name, email, and phone number. Ask yourself, what is really necessary to continue being in contact with these prospects? Phone number is a big one. You will lose a big conversion if you're requiring a lot of conversion if you're requiring a phone number, because a lot of people don't like to put their phone number. And this call to action isn't so good. People aren't ready to call just off of reading a title and subtitle. They aren't really ready to call just yet. So I like to do an intermediary. I mean, the phone number's up there. If they want to call, they can, okay? It's not that strong of a call to action. Say, well, I'm too lazy to click this button and make a call. Why don't I fill out 3 fields and then click a button? Like, that doesn't make much sense. So I like to have some intermediary contact here. This is always great, having a little lock that says we're never going to sell your info. Always have that, and make it a promise. I like to have guarantees here. And then there's some more detail. And again, so this is all above the fold. And what that means is that nobody, no matter if you're looking at it on desktop or on mobile, like, you don't have to scroll. It's all right there. So even your most targeted prospects who absolutely need to buy now can do so without scrolling. Okay. And then if they do scroll, there's a little bit of information here. It just talks a little bit about more of your services. And I like the fact that there's check marks. They're chunked out into exactly the biggest pain points that and objections they may be experiencing. So this is overall a good landing page. I'd give it a 6 out of a 10, maybe a 7 for the right person. I don't know. I mean, there's clear logos and company name, and it's well laid out. It's a good layout, but the content needs work. The call to action needs work. The form needs work. But that's the funnel up until the point where it says landing page with lead magnet and qualification form. So here is the part where the user submits information, and we talked about it. It's right over here. This is what we went through in the last slide. But then here you have the retargeting campaigns. So the retargeting campaign is something a little different. You're still paying for clicks every time someone clicks on your ad, but it's more than just being on the top of Google or being in someone's Facebook page. A retargeting campaign allows you to place ads on any website that accepts retargeting campaigns, retargeting banners. And there are millions and millions of websites that generate revenue through retargeting ads. CNN is one of them. Forbes is another one. Like, you don't have to go to every single one of these websites and say, can I start a retargeting campaign? There are companies out there like AdRoll, for one. You can go to adroll.com. They're one of my favorites, although they have competitors. You can type in AdRoll competitors. There's several of them. You can go right into Google and do a retargeting campaign. And Facebook has them as well. You can do Facebook retargeting ads. But basically what this does is, let's go back to the landing page, the previous slide here. Okay, so people come into your landing page, okay? Now, realistically, even the best landing page will convert about, less than 6% of the overall traffic. So you have 94% of the people are leaving without clicking or anything. So you paid for 94% of your traffic to go away, basically. The goal for retargeting campaigns is to bring them back to your site. So after they visit your site, they're going to get a cookie on their computer. And I know it's a silly name. It's not a cookie you eat, but it's a piece of code, and it's perfectly legal. It goes in their computer. It sits in their computer for about 90 days. So for the next 90 days, you will have, and you can set that to be 30 days or 90 days, whatever, in your retargeting campaigns. But 90 days is the default. But for 90 days, those users will see your ads on sites they go to. It could be eBay or CNN or Forbes, and it drives them back to the landing page, or even back to a different page if you want. So that way they see your ad. So the premise for retargeting campaigns is that in order for someone to buy something, especially if it's expensive, it's not an impulse buy product, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 plus dollars. People are going to need to see you 5 to 7 times on average to buy your service, or even to submit information for your service. So the retargeting campaign increases that number. It basically says, okay, I've seen your landing page once. I'm leaving now. Oh, now I see your ad on CNN. I'm going to eBay later. I see your ad again. You see that? So now it's increasing the amount of time they see you and get comfortable in order to submit their information to you. That's the power of the retargeting campaign. Yes, that costs money. It's a couple pennies a click sometimes, but it's very powerful, even if they just see your ad and not click on it, to drive traffic back to your site. Okay, so that happens after the user submits information, or even before. Once the user submits information, they should be taken to another page where that cookie kicks in, or you can have it also on your landing page as well, whichever way. So at this point, the user has submitted their information, and now you have the client's information. Now you need a way to follow up with them automatically without having to follow up with each and every person. Because if you're driving hundreds of pieces of traffic to your site and a percentage of them are closing, let's say 5%, you don't want to be following up with 50 or 100 more people with, hey, did you get my ebook? Hey, did you read it? Hey, this, hey, that. Hey, what else can I provide you? Are you ready to call? Or blah, blah, blah. I mean, it gets so confusing. So there's got to be an automated way to do that. Well, that's where drip emails come through. So here's the power of drip emails. And you can set this up with lots of different companies. One of my favorites is MailChimp. Okay. That's the most popular, and it's easy because it's free for up to, or as of now, for up to 2,000 contacts. Okay. It's totally free. Of course, you won't get a full example, a full suite of their features, but you can run a good drip campaign out of it. So here's the example of the landing page. Okay. User submits their information, and now they get a piece of content. So maybe this first piece of email says, hey, thank you for requesting my ebook. Here it is. Enjoy it. And then that happens immediately after they fill in their information. Okay. So maybe the next email they get is 2 days later. It automatically sends them, hey, just following up with you. Are you ready to schedule a call with me? Or, hey, here's another piece of information you might find helpful. Hope to talk to you soon. And then maybe you have another one where the third one says, hey, are you ready for a call yet? You know, so you can keep dripping them emails automatically until they opt out of them. So that's a really powerful automated way to drive traffic from finding your ideal client, having them fill out the information, retargeting them if they don't, or even if they do, either way, getting their info, and then continuing to drip value to them with a drip email campaign. That is a very effective pay-per-click funnel that technically you can do yourself with some DIY, learn on your own methods, or you can pay someone to set it up for you.